end up sometimes taking their own lives. This is not new to
Here's Johnny. Thank you. Well, hello there, my social media family. Being of any persons among yourselves, from my followers, as in a.k.a. subscribers, to visitors, even so, who are affiliated or associated with and are representing my own particular YouTube social media channel, and likewise chat room or comment section. How are you all doing? Well, hopefully everyone is doing at least okay, if not better yet, to be said, and I'll say it for the record. Whereas any could possibly say that one is doing all right, feeling like so for that matter. Well, if not, best of all, it'd be put like this here, whereas any could possibly claim to be feeling or to have become of a status to feel like one is blessed and stressed, more blessed and stressed, too blessed to possibly become or be stressed. You know, you and yours, you know, your family members and friends, and me and mine for that matter. Yes, how are you all doing? And for that matter, how are your loved ones? You know, to be possibly considered. I wish it was like this movie star. I wish it was like that. And moving right on. And whereas the present social media broadcast, as we have it, being of some of such video content material, is regarding making some sort of reference to this one really ignorant and insane or stupid and sick, excuse my language, pardon my French, poop butt pissant. No like scumbag, riff-raff, black male character, being of whom I myself assume to have become or be homeless. You know, one of those, in other words, transit derelicts. Well, got the mouthing off to, you know, this one white boy with his family of 5, of a wife and mom and 3 underage preteen male white boys, otherwise, upon a mass transit of a public transportation system with all of its many different bus and train routes, and being of which is commonly called and or likewise commonly known as that being of c.t.a. And whereas I had to witness this, as we all had become subject to experiencing that of its nonsense, you know, and this is regardless of whether it was for a bus or train route, and you know, whereas that is really irrelevant. What is to be considered as being relevant to, you know, to focus one's attention upon or to think about is how, you know, before then, he was sleeping, like, right? And all of a sudden, when the white family got on, you know, premises and properties or some of such, like I said, this is regardless of whether it was for a bus or train route. When they got on, and the white boy, being of the, you know, the husband and father figure of the family household that sat beside him, I mean, he woke up out of his sleep and got to cussing the white boy, you know. And whereas I like to have told him then and there, excuse my language, you know, former French as played part of the devil's advocate, less to even being a prodigal son, more or less. Whereas worse is any of those closet devil worshippers who make up most churchgoers, being of whatever religious denomination, including the prosperity preacher, man, televangelists, among the likes of them who outnumber their female or woman religious rival counterparts, fleecing the flocks, making purchases of, as in buying, dime a dozen luxurious mansions, expensive, chauffeur-driven motor vehicles or automobiles, private helicopters, private jets, private buses, private, private. Oh, I'm sorry. Prince Peach back with the Mac up here. I was talking this freaking speech. Regardless, or in due time, if and when I feel inspired to, once again make amens after having come off like a prodigal. Yes, but anyway, getting back to what I was trying to say as I backtrack here, no purpose being, and I started going following to continue for when my person had last left off, so I can finish up as a complete form previous friend line thought, regardless of whether or not my person am speaking correct, proper standard English grammar of the American dialect with all its grammatical uses. So qualities and quantities of a rather expansive, extensive, versatile, expressive, and or impressive vocabulary, and regardless of whatever interruptions to the present social media broadcast, as is a video content material. And as you all know, I am presently within one of the less preferred, as in one of the worst or worstest incendiary neighborhood communities yet, and therefore the neighbors from damn hell are even worse, or some or such the worstest source of types. And so then if you hear entities, stupid and sick nigger shithead pieces of shit motherfuckers cheering on, or let me rephrase that, if you hear any of these really stupid and sick, creepy and cowardly, gay like demon possessed, willingness letter fulfilling black persons of interest in our riff-raff characters, neighbors from damn hell, being the likes of my present public nuisance problem neighbors, the black persuasion attempting to interrupt the present social media broadcast, video content material, then you all have been warned. But anyway, though, getting back to what I was saying and to complete a formula I thought. And as I was saying, and please do or pardon, forgive me, as a prodigal son, if I could possibly mouth off again like one. Whereas the worst is any of those, or the worst two evils being in any of those closet devil worshippers who make up most churchgoers being of whatever religious denominations, and with the prosperity preacher mentality that's among them, outnumbering their female or woman religious rival counterparts, fleecing the flocks in their own right, making purchases of, as in buying, to simply say, dime a dozen luxurious mansions, expensive chauffeur-driven motor vehicles or automobiles, private helicopters, private jets, private planes, private trains, private buses, private yachts, etc., with other people's money. Yes, private buying private helicopters. Yes, making purchases of dime a dozen luxurious mansions and or expensive chauffeur-driven motor vehicles or automobiles, private helicopters, private jets, private trains, private buses, private planes, private yachts, and etc., with other people's money, being of the working stiffs of, puppets, robots, zombies, the living dead or dead man walking, or the gullible fools, members of and visitors to their mega churches within any cities or suburbs, stretching a couple few blocks and seating from hundreds to thousands, whereas they would, steal from the tithe offering trays and drain another or others' life savings of their bank accounts, and then send the same gullible fools who may as well just put their their money in wheelbarrows and give it to them, whereas they would send the same members of visitors to their mega churches or supposed or so-called religious sanctuaries to the dog houses, poorhouses, rescue mission shelters, crazy houses, as well as jailhouses. But anyway, getting back to some of such other, it's a backtrack here. We reason on purpose being on. It's like going to continue for one when my person last left off so I can finish up as incomplete form previous prior. I thought the same sense of the word. And I thought I was wagging the dog, changing the subject, but getting back to the original subject matter, a topic of discussion to be debated, of a given argument with many different views and opinions to be affiliated or associated with and are representing some such thereof. As I try to think of it with my intention to do just that, to backtrack here, to continue for where and when my president last left off so I could finish up as a complete former. Now I thought, and whereas the white boy has sat, right beside this black brother, and he went off on him, cussing, swearing like a drunken sailor, on shore leave, attempting to paint the town red with one's drinking buddies before he or she were to have to return the base with or without them of his fellow sailors, drinking buddies, before the MPs were to be sent out, as they could possibly try to catch up with him for, for possibly risking going AWOL or be charged with that absent without leave status and then be sent to the military stockades. Yeah, so this black brother was mouthing off, cussing, swearing at this white boy. I like to told him then and there, man, nigga, shut the fuck up. Shut your shithead piece of shit. Nigga, son of a bitch. Cocksucking faggot ass up, motherfucker. Shut the fuck up, nigga. Nigga, SOB bastard with your poop butt piss ant. Drunken, homeless, bum ass. Nigga, that white boy ain't messing with you. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Yes, do please excuse, pardon, or forgive me for cussing and swearing. Let me rephrase that. I did tell you all I'm feeling like quite the prodigal son at the moment, especially let it be said and stated for record until I were to be able to get back to much more familiar territory, being of a vicinity neighborhood community, being one of the preferred ones compared to where I'm at now, being one of the less preferred ones, if you know what I mean, between lines, fills, and blanks, as in the vicinity area neighborhood community, being as I have it here at the present whereas I am a resident or tenant paying annual monthly rent, utility, etc. for that a unit's atmosphere, a place of resident of apartment, for its premises property for this building at a given address location in the same vicinity area neighborhood community, being one of the less preferred ones, as in one that is, more impoverished or more poverty stricken, and or not to mention or let alone much more crime ridden compared to much more familiar territory, where I was at prior to having to relocate here to move, to simply say, with what few possessions upon short notice, being that because of the discrepancy or misunderstanding that had developed between me and the management of the building elsewhere for one of the better neighborhoods, compared to this one, and that is likewise as one being predominantly the ethnic minorities, or non-Caucasian, compared to where I was at prior to having to move here on short notice just to keep from becoming a rank and file of the dialect transcends as a homeless myself, and for a neighborhood being which I am more familiar with, being a one that is less impoverished or less poverty stricken, less crime ridden, being of a multiracial one, more of a centenary neighborhood community within city limits. But anyway, though, yeah. Getting back to some such with this slight interjection, whereas the management of the building elsewhere, administrative real estate representative personnel had confused me with the very character of another woodlands left black male person with character that I was complaining about being like himself, who I was complaining about because whether or not I'm speaking correct, proper English, grammar, American dialect, with all these grammatical uses, an impressive vocabulary. Yes. And whereas after I went through all the proper policy and procedure, the protocol, they had given me the walking paper that he should have received much rather instead. And whereas I was trying to get to a similar soul or get to another building either within that same neighborhood or similar soul one that I'm much more familiar with compared to where I'm at now, being in one of the worst neighborhoods. But whereas even the white landlords were playing footsies up on the table with me as if I had all the time in the world to yeah. The white landlords in the better neighborhoods, although there are non-white landlords who hold some premises, property, real estate, and some such as better neighborhoods themselves, although regardless of how the white landlords, they hold a monopoly on the better buildings and the better neighborhoods. So on short notice, I'm having to move to one of these less preferred ones and hook up with a non-white landlord to secure me a spot to keep from becoming homeless. But getting back to some such other. So the black brother was just mouthing off to them, and I like to tell him, hey, shut your monkey Negro black male character, Joe Palooka, homeless, drunken, hype bum self up to put him out in now. But I had to use discretion. I had to be discreet in view of the circumstances and considering how, the white family, they had 3 underage minors, preteen white boys who were a part of their household, who had become subject to experiencing that nonsense coming from this one black butthead or bonehead of uncivilized, savage, prehistoric Neanderthal to be translated to be defined as meaning a bonehead, butthead, modern day caveman character, mouthing off quite a few choice words, being expletive of profanity they made uses of, or was he was cussing and swearing himself. And so, like what I had done during the course of this social media broadcast video production, sorry about that. But anyway, though, yeah, he was just mouthing off, employing the uses of speech profanity or using cuss words to simply say. And whereas I like to told him, man, don't even try it, don't even think it. Yeah, man, you attempt to swing on that white boy, and that white boy ain't doing nothing to you. I help him put you on the flow, of a mass transit, of a public transportation system, or whatever bus or train route. Like I said, that it's regardless. It's irrelevant whether it was a bus or train route. But the important thing to think about, he was mouthing off, but I diffused the situation. I intervened in behalf of the white family, and all the while I had called the police on the slide just in case. And I'm like, man, you about most ignorant. Because I told the white girl, no, I'm not saying. I told the white girl of the white family, I said, disregard him, ignore this black fool. He's about an ignorant, I'm not saying he don't represent all black males, although I don't consider myself as being black or white or green moon marching from outer space in human form for that matter, or an alien or ET, extraterrestrial. But then I don't really believe there are any aliens from outer space, with the exception of angels and demons. So, speaking upon those matters now to come to mind, but I like disregard him. He don't represent all black males. Not that I consider myself as being black or white, but just an American citizen and first and foremost a Christian and a Protestant. And I'm sorry about cussing and swearing, destroying my testimony as a believer, being a member of the household of faith and family God. But I like to told him in more words or less, man, if you don't shut your butt up, you don't be quiet, you better. Before you find that out, before you find out from there that your next place of residence could possibly become or be, a jail cell, a unit in a psych ward, Man, shut your butt up. Shut your black butt up. Wilderness letter for filling Negro self up. Be quiet. And so I just felt that I had to share that with you all, at some such given one time, my social media family, because he was really getting beside himself, mouthing off as he was against this white boy with his family, upon a mass transit, public transportation. Anyway, though, regardless, on this last note of interest, I like to stay and share with you all the gospel message. And sorry about the cussing and swearing. I'm gonna have to curb that, because it's not the Christian thing to do, You have to pray to God about making amens as prodigal son. But anyway, though, if you have not gotten Christ, I say, on the last note of interest, as your personal Lord and Savior, I would hope that you would think to do so now while the blood is still running warm in your veins, by recognizing and realizing what he himself had done or did upon the cross of Calvary on the hill of Golgotha, suffering at the hands of Roman soldiers upon the orders of their superiors, being more so or mainly mostly religious Pharisees and Sadducees, but then nevertheless, Christ had given his life as God as he is, who was transformed in human flesh to restore the breach between himself and mankind made in his image, and to fulfill biblical prophecy, so that any of us, regardless of race, walk of life, gender, age, etc., who could profess faith in him, will become or be blessed in one regard or another, more ways one. First and foremost, with his salvation, being of which is the only means by which any of us can or could possibly become or be considered as citizens of the kingdom of heaven, and as his blood sacrifice of salvation is the only fire insurance against the lake of fire, damn hell. And then second of all, we will be blessed with his deliverance. But first, we have got to get his salvation. Otherwise, you have nothing coming so far as blessing is concerned. And if you make that transition from great beyond the hereafter, or afterlife, and you are still one of the unsaved, the lost, young human souls, the unbelievers and non-believers who did not profess faith in him, unless you were to become one of the few that could possibly become subject to experience one of those beyond and back experiences and come back into this world and then be able to reverse that decision you would have made to reject so great salvation compared to how most would go to damn hell or there to stay, whereas you would be there forever to be tortured and terrorized by devils and demons and to burn in fiery flames compared to how we as believers in God will be across the great divide that separates heaven from hell and accompany like-minded believers in the presence of God and his angels, and hopefully while we're still in the world, we could possibly become an even greater blessing onto other by sharing with them the gospel message of salvation, the blood sacrifice of Christ, so that they could also become citizens of the kingdom of heaven. And likewise, while they're still in the world, could possibly share the gospel message of salvation with others, so that they could also become citizens of the kingdom of heaven and don't have to worry about the lake of fire down hell. You all take care, be safe, and God peace.